this computer. Hello. All right, so we're going to start today's class. And today we're going to talk about interviews, but not just any type of interview, as we have been talking about in the past classes. It's not just any type of interview. We're going to talk about the job interview. And specifically, we might consider speaking of the internship interview, which for you should happen in the next few days or months, because some of you are about to leave school very soon. Yes, you're finishing, and that's reality. Reality is setting to you. So here it is. The topic for today, we will consider talking about the resumes. Since you are working on your resumes, you were asked to submit a resume today, but well, no later than today, but that was homework of doing your first resume draft. And a draft is not like the actual final version, but I wanted you to experience what making the resume means, what the difference is of just talking about yourself, but putting your information in a piece of paper. What the feeling is of writing like your biography, but in a very short version of it. So with that experience, we're gonna check what information you're supposed to put on your resume. And of course, for next week, you're gonna have a second version, which shouldn't be just the draft. It should be perfectionated from the one that you submit today than the one that you submit next week. So it should be a big difference, and that's because we are going to have the experience of this talk and also some of your investigation that you're going to be doing about the same topic, about researching of resume. So let's start with the actual class, and we're gonna cover resume and job interview, like we said before. But in the resume section, we're gonna talk about what actually is tips for writing a resume, and of course about the format of the resume. Okay, so that will be included. Then speaking of the job interview, we're gonna have to talk about questions that you may encounter in that interview, and trick questions, which are very common on a job interview, and you need to know them ahead of time so you can prepare for them, which is very important whenever you're going for a job interview or whatever interview, but this type of interview, which is a formal one, you need to prepare for it. And of course, including into that, we will talk about the best way to answer to those questions and so on. So you will see. It's gonna be interesting. I hope so. I hope it looks interesting for you. All right, so let's start. We need to start talking about this going forward. What is a resume? So we've been talking in your questions for this, for the assignment that you were submitting a resume today. You were asking if your curriculum vitae was correct. And I answered back that yes, the resume, it's sort of like the curriculum vitae, but it's a shorter version. In English, even though this word is not an English word, in English, in the countries where you only speak English, this is the way to go. You were gonna say, even if it's your curriculum, which is an extended version of it, you're gonna call it the resume. Any job is going to ask you to submit your resume, which means giving your resume to them. All right. So it's basically a piece of paper. Physically, yes, And also nowadays you include an electronic copy, but which is a piece of paper also. Okay. So what exactly is a resume then? It's a tool. When you are looking for a job, it should open the doors for that job if you write that resume in the best way. And that's what we need to talk about. How to write your resume in the best way. Sometimes people think that the main idea of having a resume is just to get the job. But consider these 2 points that I wrote over here. A resume is much more than that. Resumes help employers make hiring decisions. So the ones that are going to read your papers, and it help you get your first interview. So it's actually very, very important to follow a structure, to have a structure in your resume. And what information you're supposed to include. That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're going to be including in this class today. So to start with, my classes, I always start with the definition of them. So what's the actual definition of a resume? And take a look at how it's written and how I am pronouncing it. It's not resume, it's a resume. Take a look at the accentuation mark. That tells you that that's not an English word. It actually comes from French. And it means a summary. Yes, it means a summary, exactly. But it's a summary that is for your qualifications, skills, and achievements. So with that said, it's a piece of paper where you put your qualifications, your skills, and achievements. And just to remind you what skills means, this is in Spanish, you're taking a course where you're talking a lot about this, habilidades. Yes, so you need to make sure that you include your skills. I'm gonna tell you how to do it in the best manner, in the best way. It shows someone, and if it is very well done, so you're looking forward to your future employer to take a look at it and pass it. The meaning is consider yourself then selected from hundreds of resumes that might be on their desks. Select yours and consider calling you and giving you the interview. It details your skills and training, work experience, education, and of course, very, very important, your accomplishments that you have with past employers. But don't worry if you don't have work experience. That's what we're going to talk about here. Okay, so don't worry too much about this work experience. Just worry a little bit, but not too much. Okay? It should also inform the employer of your career objective. That's important. Some of the ways to say it, like on the tips that we're going to talk here, we're going to consider not just the objective, but also including a summary. We're going to talk about that later on. So a resume, in other words, is also an advertisement. It's the way you advertise yourself. It kind of sounds like weird that you are advertising a person, yourself, but that's the truth. It's like the way you're selling yourself. Mm-hmm. It sounds weird, but it is. It is the way to impress the other people on what you are capable of doing, and also by saying the truth. This is very, very, very important, by always saying the truth. On a resume and a curriculum vitae, you should never lie. Nunca mentir. Siempre la verdad. Únicamente la verdad. Just the truth should be written on your resume. That's very important. All right. So the purpose for your resume, mainly, yes, it will be about getting the interview. But like I said, it's if they want to hire you, then you need to really consider taking a good look and working very hard on your resume. And that's actually one of the purposes why I personally ask you to write a draft of your resume. Because this happens to everyone. It happened to me. The first time you write your resume, it's a mess. It could be like good, but it's not that good because seriously, you really don't know what to write on it. So a resume can get you the interview, yes. In today's market, where many companies utilize resume tracking programs, where a computer selects your resume based on keywords. So nowadays, there are some companies that they have already that kind of software. You send them your resume through email, an electronic copy, and then they put it next to all of the other copies. If it has the keywords that the software is looking for, is going to take your resume after a filter. It's going to filter it down, and then you might end up being selected. So, with this said, we need to take a look at the best keywords that describe yourself. Again, I'm telling you again, by always saying what is true, never lying. Oops, I'm writing very weird. Never lying. Lying. Clear. All right. So, how often have you thought about if only I had met with the employer in person, I could have convinced him that I was the right person for the job? Hmm. Your only chance is to compose an impressive resume, one that will get noticed and get you in the door so you can meet the employer in person and get the job. So here is the reality, guys. Like I said, hundreds of resumes are received by every company every day. Hundreds, cientos, hundreds of resumes. So you want to be careful when you're writing your own resume because from that, it will depend that it will go forward into an interview. Like I was telling you, they receive hundreds of papers every day. And then they have to do a screening, filter them. And so actually the job hopping or job searching, it really takes time. It takes time. Of course, it is very important to have connections. If you do have connections, it easier it's easier to get the interview. Of course. What are your connections? What could be your connections? An uncle, an aunt, a friend, someone that you know that already works for that company. It's usually good. It's very, very good because with connections, they can get you faster. But it doesn't mean that you can get the position. You still have to get interviewed. Unless you are the son of the owner of the company, that you have it 100% sure that you're getting the internship in that company. Other than that, your connections, yes, are way, very, very important. And you want to keep them. Keep in touch with them. Keep in touch. Start calling them. But like I'm saying, It's not just about your resume, and it's not just about your connections. It will also be about how you develop yourself through the interview. So you need to be very smart. You need to prepare ahead. So let's take a look at all of this. All the reasons for a resume: it prepares you for the interview, it organizes you, yes, it forces you to assess your skills, and it gives you a sense of security. And of course, it can be used as a calling card. It is there when you want to conduct international interviews to test potential opportunities. And I'm saying this: your limit is the world, not just the country, or not just the region or the state. It should be the world. So let's start talking about tips. Tips for writing your resume. And here's another thing, guys, everyone here. The first question that you are having right now when you are writing your resume is, what should I write if I don't have work experience? Because you're thinking that you don't have experience as an engineer. Of course that you don't have experience as an engineer. What are you thinking? You haven't graduated. How are you supposed to get experience as an engineer? There is no chance that you have experience. So that's okay. It's actually okay. But if you do have job experience, not professional experience, but job experience, if you have worked as whatever you have been doing on working on a store, working on construction, working in, that's also important, because you want to show the potential employers that you are a person that it's normally active, that is not just sitting in a chair at home. You want to showcase your person as an active person. So it's also important to tell them that you do have work experience, but of course, none of you have professional experience. There's no way that you have it, because you haven't completed your education yet. Okay? Okay, understood? So everybody right now, you don't have professional experience, but that's perfectly okay. So these few slides, these few visual aids that I'm going to be showing you, is like I think seven tips. These 7 tips are just for people like you with no professional experience, where there is no work experience related to your field to your field of education, which is industrial engineering, productivity, and quality. Okay? So these tips only work now, but whenever you start having that experience, your resume should start changing into a better way of writing it. I'm going to show you at the end, almost at the end of this class, the difference with a resume from a person that already has a career in industrial engineering. Remember the difference: career is not the same as major. Right now, you're majoring in industrial engineering, but you don't have a career in industrial engineering yet, just yet. No tienen eso todavía. All right. So, okay, here, for people like you who are finishing school, who are finishing a university degree, these are 7 tips, especially for you. Okay. First tip: include a summary. A summary is a great place to showcase who you are and what makes you an ideal candidate. It falls right below your name, and contact information, and is one of the first sections an employer will look when they review your resume. Take a look at the example over here. Sally Smith. All right. So she has a summary. And of course, I'm going to tell you that it could be a summary, and it's better if it includes also an objective. This is not forced. No es obligatorio, but it's better to include a resume, a summary on top of it. After your name and address and email address and your phone, all of your contact information, then write a summary. Let's see the example over here. The summary for Sally Smith. Reliable, energetic, and resourceful digital marketing major. What is she saying in the summary? That she studied digital marketing and some of the skills that she has. So she's including information that it is in all of the resume on a little summary, 2, 3, 4 lines, a paragraph that showcases who you are. It's like a cover letter of yourself, but in your resume. So she's also a marketing major with passion for social media and content development, dedicated to digital and integrated marketing solutions with a proven ability to effectively direct a team, proficient in project management, strategic decision making, and visual communication. It sounds really nice. It's just an example, okay? Is there a perfect way to write a resume, a summary on your resume? No, it depends on everyone. Like what I'm saying is Carmen's summary on her resume will be different from Connie's summary on her resume. Because even though you both have the same major in industrial engineering, you have different lives, different experience, different skills. So it showcases your differences, your own individuality. Okay? So including a summary is really a good idea. Okay? Hopefully you can get the idea from it. Let's go to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is focus on your education and training. Here's the thing. If you went and looked for a template to write down your resume, most of the templates would tell you to include here your work experience at the beginning. But this is not for you. No es para ti ese formato. Why not? Because you are freshly finishing your school. And what you have to showcase first is your education. Okay, so this is the way you go. The tip is to focus on your education and training. If you are a student, this is for you, like what I'm saying. If you are a student or a recent graduate with less than 5 years of work experience, you don't have even a year of work experience. So, no. You have to put your education after the summary and the objective, and that's it. You want to make sure you place it right below the summary section. I already mentioned that. Start by listing the name of the school you attended or are attending, followed by the location, then list the major or the degree. So in your case, you have to write down Universidad de la Sierra. And you have to mention that it is in Moctezuma, Sonora, Mexico, because there is another Universidad de la Sierra in Puebla. So you have to make sure that you write the location, the place. And then you have to write, of course, Bachelor of Science. That's what it means, the BS, Bachelor of Science degree, which stands for Licenciatura en. That's the Bachelor of Science. In the case of engineering, it's a Bachelor of Science. Degree in industrial engineering, blah, blah, blah. I don't have enough space over here. Followed by the location, then list your major or degree. And this is optional, very optional. If your GPA is 3.0 or higher, what's the GPA? Grade point average. 3.0 is about 9 or 90. You could consider including it. I would normally not advise this because people is not interested in that. They are interested in your major, which is industrial engineer. But if you have like acknowledgments, reconocimientos for your academic behavior, it should be good to include this and then list those acknowledgments. To make an impact in this section, make sure you add academic honors, what I was referring to, or relevant coursework. This is what we are going to use for your resume. Or even clubs or societies that you participated in. That's what you can put in here. Relevant coursework. We want to pay attention to that. For example, I don't know, maybe the position that you're applying or the company that you're applying for, it's related to safety. Then you want to include coursework that are related to safety. And you might include things like health and safety, ergonomics, everything that is related to it. Ergonomics, strictly, directly related. Ergonomics, safety management, which this one is for the people that is taking the minor in quality management systems. La especialidad en sistemas de gestión de calidad, they do have training on this. You could include things like quality control because it's important for health and safety, and so on. Coursework, but you're going to include like 4, 5, or 6 courses that are related to what you're saying in your objective, your summary, and also the position that you're applying to. Okay, any questions here related to coursework? That's what you're going to be including on your resume. I want to ask every one of you, in your first draft, your draft that you are submitting today, did you think about this coursework? Probably not, right? But because you were looking into formats that are already for people that has experience. And this is different. This is for newly graduate students or for the people that are already or that are still studying like you. So you want to showcase the knowledge that you have about that topic related to the job that you're looking for. Let's see, tip number 3, add selected achievements. This section will help you expand on your education and your training and almost takes place of the work experience section. Like what we're saying, most of you don't have work experience, which is fine, it's perfectly okay. But we can include things like this, selected achievements, or I like to also call it something like, or include a section that is, it could not be selected achievements, but it could be related experience. And with that related experience or selected achievements, you will show yourself that you do have some experience, that you have achieved something. It might not be as work experience, but it is something. On related experience, I liked to include things like your what you did with Professor Christian, which was the running a production line, which is a great achievement. Things like having a project that it will go and have a compete with some other schools. That could be a very nice achievement, and so on. Things like that, like the projects with ergonomics. Those are achievements. And I don't know, maybe the project that you made in marketing, in the marketing class. Of course, if you continue doing so, or if you sold something, if you achieved something, remember that, if you achieve something during that project. So think of this as a highlight reel of what you've accomplished so far in life. You will want to include 3 to 4 bullet points of the achievements that you're most proud of. For example, maybe you were working on a personal budget in your own money. That's fine. That's also an experience. If you can prove it, that's fine. Where you've been able to save, oh, this was a correction for PowerPoint. Not my mistake. I wrote it correctly, but it kept telling me that it has to be in Spanish, and it kept working against me. I'm sorry about that. To save 10% every month for the past year, or maybe you received the highest level on a test out of a classroom with 50 people because of your dedication to learning. I don't know. That's an achievement also. For example, over here, they are cited here, receive highest score, dedicated to improving community through constant and consistent volunteer work. We're gonna go to one of those. This is also a tip, and we're gonna talk about it in the next one. Nail down accomplishments that relate to the position that you're applying for and put them in bullet point format in the selected achievement selection. So this is a suggestion to have a section. Either you can call it related experience or you can call it selected achievement. That's perfectly fine. All right. Okay, let's see. Yes. So next tip, number 4, it's about volunteer experience. Volunteer experience. Take a look at this. Employers love to see that you do some volunteer work. They like seeing this on a resume. In fact, there is proved, statistically speaking, 41% of employers value volunteer work as much as they do paid work. So volunteering, it's great. And then you're gonna say like, hey, but I don't have experience on that. Well, let's take a look at this. If you don't have volunteer experience, get some today. There are projects going on in your municipalities, in your own towns. You could volunteer some work over there. I know that almost in any municipality there is ASGA, which is an association for to cover the environment. There is in Nacosari, they have foundation Casablanca. Casablanca? I think it's called Casablanca. Correct me if I'm wrong. That
You are right.
Okay, perfect. They do a lot of work that is just volunteering and so on. There are different projects around every town. If you go to DIF, Desarrollo Integral de la Familia, in every town, they do have projects that they need people to volunteer. I know that right now, because of the pandemic times, it's hard, but you could do some volunteering work. Like I know, like Gilberto. Gilberto is doing some tutoring volunteering on it. So that's great. And also, I know that the one that Gilberto, I'm talking to you, the work that you did with the soccer team as a coach, they didn't pay you, so that was volunteer work. And it's a great experience in that case for Gilberto. It's really good. It's very okay because he's showing that he has some skills that require management of people, that require coaching skills related to social skills like interpersonal relationships, even including emotional intelligence, things that we've been talking in the other class. Yes, it's very useful for here. So you could do some volunteer work for online, and that's perfect because of right now, because of the case of the pandemic, but you still can do some work, and that you can do it just because you want to show it on your resume, and that's perfectly fine. If you already have experience like the one that I'm showing here for Gilberto, you're good on that. um, but there is volunteer experience. Start by listing the organization of the cause that you volunteer for, followed by a short description of the organization, and include a few bullet point items that demonstrate what you accomplish as a volunteer. Here is an example. Habitat for Humanity. There is a nonprofit organization that it works in the United States. And so you include the time. That's very important to include in your resumes and curriculum vitae, the time frame, which is basically the date, las fechas. And examples here is like volunteer laborer restoring a 12-home community, organize a team of 7 to relocate dozens of displaced families, and so on. Okay, so it's very good. If you have volunteer experience, put it on your resume. It's very, very, very super important, and it will make you look good. All right. So number 5, add special skills section. Like what we've been talking in the other class. Remember that you were taking a leadership and professional development. Well, this is about that. Use a combination of hard skills and soft skills. Do you remember what the hard skills are? Hard skills are the ones that you learn in school, like the use of some software, like SolidWorks, for example, right? And the soft skills that you need to include them, if you remember those, soft skills are more related to the social skills that are the emotional intelligence that we're talking a lot about these days.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, perfect. Teamwork, leadership, um, responsible. A lot of people add this one. I'm a responsible person, and some people include like punctual. I've seen a series of these using it as a skill. You don't need to include this one. You are expected to be punctual. in any job. Yeah, but you get the idea, right? And we have been talking about those in the other class, the class that you're taking about leadership. So, like it says here, special skills, mastery of Microsoft Office programs, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. If you know how to use other software, excellent communication skills, outstanding organizational, multitasking, and problem-solving abilities. That's awesome. So it's about a list. Include the skills 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can also mention, okay, I know about this software. Maybe you know about using a software for not just for design, like movie maker or something like this. Movie maker software, and then you can mention basic knowledge because you're not an expert, but it can help you get the job because maybe they need someone that knows already how to use the software for uh, using some media. I don't know. We never know actually what can happen. So if you have the skill, showcase it, show it to them. Trying to enter. Number 6 of the tips include professional memberships. Here's another thing, like the volunteer work. It's great, it looks good for the employer that you want to stay up to date in your industry. Demonstrate your willingness to connect with others in your same field. So for some of you, this is a sad story. Last year, some of you were going to be included into Capunis, remember? Capunis, which is a student organization. It's a student organization from CEMAC, which is related to economics. And since CEMAC is known internationally, it's really good to be part of this. This is just an example. If you still want to be part of this, you can still be part of it. You can just talk about it with us, your professors. We can get together in some meetings, some reunions. You can do some work this semester, mainly about research because the pandemic doesn't let us work in other way, but you can still get, before you graduate, you could still be part of Caponi. I don't know. That's just an option. But maybe economics is not for you and you don't want to be part of that. So here's the thing. If you are not a member of any professional organization or affiliation and you don't know which ones to join, do a search on Google. Google it. Ask for organizations in industrial engineering around in Mexico and around the world, and you can join them. Some organizations, they are free to join, and some you have to pay some money for it, but it's worth it because it's not just about being part of it just by name. It also gives you connection. And we already talked about this. Connections are very, very important. They help you. And it not only gives you connection, it gives you experience. I think I wrote it correct. It's an experience. And it also gives you not just experience and connections, but it gives you knowledge. It keeps you updated. Most of the time in all of those organizations, they published what's more recent in your field. O sea, lo que es más reciente en la ingeniería industrial. So it is advisable to be a member of professional organizations. You could still be. So it's up to you. And it looks better on your resume and curriculum vitae, of course. So it depends on you. That's what I'm saying. But it's a very good tip to include your professional membership. I used to be, when I was a student, I used to be part of the association that was in my school for engineers. And it was not just for my school for chemical engineers, but it is around Mexico. And then when I was a graduate student, I used to be part of the Hispanic Student Association. I was even the vice president once. And then I was part of the it was just for a short period of time, but I was part of it for Engineers Without Borders. This is in the United States. And also what's part of this other one that is for Hispanics, but in science and engineering for STEM careers. It's called SACNAS. And so, yes, it's important to keep yourself in between those, not just as a student, but also when you are a professional one. So, yes, you want to keep doing something, not just studying. You have to do something else. And then you're going to say, like, oh, but I'm working. Well, yes, but do you remember about your life plan? El plan de vida y carrera that you were working in your other class? So if you
Yes.
want to accomplish, those, you need to work a little more on your dreams. And talking about your career dreams, you need to work a little more on them. So it's not just about taking classes and coming to a video conference because you have to. No, it's not about that. It is about compromising yourself into it. It is about commitment. Ooh, yes, that's a reality. And last but not least, I think 7 is the last one. Yes. At language competence section. All of you, well, most of you, not all of you, because I haven't listened to some of your classmates, so I really don't know their skills in the language. But most of you should include the English language in a section on your resume that says languages. And you can mention Spanish, native speaker. And then you can mention English as a second language. So you can say, yeah, like that, Spanish, native speaker. And of course, then English. But if you don't know how much or how your abilities, your skills in the language are, then for fluency speaking, you can list how is your speaking, your writing, and reading into the language. But I'm suggesting a little something. Take an official test to know about this. I have a link from Cambridge. It's a free test. It's not as official as TOEFL, but it's a free test, and that will let you know if you are in A1 level, A2 level, B1 level, B2 level, C1, and C2. Most of you are going to be between, because of what I have heard from you and what I have read from you, most of you will be around this A2 and B1, which is really good. It means that you already have an advanced level of English. And it sounds really cool, huh? Advanced. So you don't have basic level. Basic is only for A1, where they can only just read a little bit. They cannot speak that well, and they can't understand anything. But like I'm saying, most of you are either A2 or B1. B2, C1, and C2, they are more advanced, and they are more related to very fluency. And what is called mainly C1 and C2 is proficient in the language, which is like, those really know what they're doing. Okay. So I'm going to be sending you the link from this test. And I hope this is not a test from my class. This is for the resume. I hope that you can include that section, language English, And then you can include over here, for example, B1 Cambridge test, which means that if an employer sees your resume and reads this, the B1 Cambridge test, then he can look it up on the internet and he can see the scale and know what your skills in the English language are. So that's a scale. And the scale is really good. So like I said, I will be sending you a link through the WhatsApp group so you can take the test. It's about like 80 something, 84 questions, 85 questions. I don't really remember exactly, but you have to take them whenever you have time. It will take about 2 hours of your time, almost about 2 hours. You can take it in your phones or computer, whatever it is. So
Do we have to?
I strongly
Sorry.
recommend it. I strongly recommend it. Carmen, do you have to take it? No. But if you want to show the level of English that you have.
No, it wasn't that.
Oh, okay.
My question is about if we have to add the link in the CV.
The link, no, not the link. You take the test, and then at the end of the test, ask you for your email account, an email account. And then they're going to send the results to your email account, and it's going to be it's described over there. For example, if you ended up being B1, it's gonna say that. They're gonna tell you, oh, you got 64 questions out of 85, for example, and your level is B1, and then they give you a description of what B1 means. And it's related to your skill. Yeah.
I have done exams like that before. So they're pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just for practicing.
Yeah, and also for having a skill. Because here is the truth. There is no reality as like being 100% on a language. That doesn't exist. I have seen it, like, for example, in interviews. Oh, what's your percentage of the language? And personally, as an English speaker, I'll say that no. I could say, like, for me, I have the 100% because it gives me what I need for my job. But I don't have it. There's a lot of vocabulary that I still need to learn. There's some rules in grammar that I am not proficient on them. I could say that I am advanced in some grammar, but I'm not proficient. And I have to accept that. But in terms of what I need for the job, I do have the 100%. But it's not true. Like I'm saying, then you need a scale. I have taken the TOEFL exam and it was good. I had the grade that I needed when I was going to graduate school. And but that's why they ask you to take exam, because it's easier to know from the exam, from the test, what your skills are in the language, instead of asking you like, oh, I need you to have 50% of English or 70% of English. In some places where they look for employees, like jobstores.com, where the companies showcase the positions that they are looking to be filled, Indeed.com, and so on. There's a lot of these pages. Even LinkedIn. LinkedIn. By the way, I strongly recommend this one. This is a network. It's not really a social network, but it's more like a job network. It's really good. You made your profile with your curriculum vitae, and then it keeps you updated and relating yourself to different job positions. So if you're looking for a job, this place is really nice, LinkedIn. So you could create a profile over there, and it's good. It's good to start somewhere.
I have an account in LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn, yes, awesome, good. I do too. I do have my account there. And you gotta keep updating it because your curriculum keeps changing. You keep growing it, which is perfect. So congratulations, Gabby. That's good. You're starting good. All right. So those are the tips for writing your resume. I just gave you tips. It's not, you're not forced, no estás forzado a incluir eso, pero son los mejores tips. Son indicaciones que te van a ayudar a que se vea diferente y mejor than those of other people that are graduating at the same time as you. Like I said before, right now, yes, there is 20 something in this class and you are competing against each other. But it's not just about that. If we talk about the state of Sonora, it's our university, Universidad de la Sierra. There is Universidad de Sonora, Instituto Tecnológico de Hermosillo, Universidad Tecnológica de Hermosillo, de Nogales, de Guaymas, etc. Instituto Tecnológico de Sonora, which is in Obregón, Itesca, Tecnológico de Agua Prieta, Tecnológico de Cananea. I've already cited 10. Universidad del Valle, Tecnológico de Monterrey. How many universities do we have in the state of Sonora? A lot of them. Universidad del Estado de Sonora, the US, and so on. So it's like, I only mentioned 13, and I'm sure that there is more than 13. So you are competing against a lot of people nationally. And some companies, you are competing against the whole world. And that's the reality. So what will make you look different? To start with, your resume. That's why you need to be very careful on how you write your resume. You have to write it the best way because this piece of paper should show who you are and should show it the best, perfect way. It's your opportunity to shine, brillar. And one other tip, an extra tip on your resume, now that we're talking about the format, for people like you that don't have professional experience, you have to do it in one page, no more than one page. Once you have a career, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years in as industrial engineers, yeah, they could be 5, 10 pages, that's fine. But that's for another type of job. For you, and it's not me who is telling this. From where do I get this information? It's not just the pages, the sources that I'm showing you here. I had the experience when I was a student. I went and asked to a career place, a career place for students. So I got advice for my own resume, and then I've also been in interviews, so I do have the experience of being interviewed, and I've also been the interviewer. I've also looked for people. When I was a graduate student, I used to interview people to get into school also, because another association that I was related to, I was, well, it was not an association, but I was an ambassador. Ambassador. A graduate student ambassador. So being one of those ambassadors, it's to represent your university into other universities, but also to recruit. One of my jobs over there, this is volunteer job, okay? One of my jobs over there was to recruit students from Latin America, but especially from Mexico. And I did some recruiting and I did interview them, which it was pretty cool. That was a great experience. So yes, I do have experience with this. And I've also, if this was a different year, if we didn't have the pandemics going on, I could have invited someone to school to give you a talk about the interview, but I can still do this. I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try to invite some of the friends that I know from human resources department and see if I can get a video conference with one of them. It might be in Spanish, but it doesn't matter to me because even if it's in Spanish, it's about the experience, it's about the knowledge of the interview. So I'm gonna try. I'm not promising anything because what I'm saying is because of the pandemics, the schedule of everyone is different, and I'm gonna give it a try. Okay, I'm gonna give it a try, and I'll tell you later on if I can get a person from human resources from other companies to tell you something about this, which will be not just from me, from your professor, but from an actual person from human resources. Okay, but like I'm saying, one page. If you're doing your resume in 2-3 pages, you are already wrong, because the employers, they already know that you are graduating, so you're not supposed to have a big resume. You're not supposed to. So whenever you're giving your resume with 3 pages, 4 pages, it's like you might be lying about it. Unless you're older and you have a lot of work experience already, but that's different. Okay? Understood? 1 page. What is the best format for it? Like I'm showing one here and a different one here. Is there the perfect format for it? No, it's actually free format. But I'm saying it in between quotation marks, free but not free. You have to have those sections. You have to have the education section. You have to talk about qualifications or experience. You have to talk about skills. And preferably, you could talk about what comes in that one over there, references. Like I was telling you, in those 7 tips, it was about including a summary, an objective on it. It was about including not just education, but also achievements, the achievement section or related experience, volunteer experience, and so on. So yes, it could have color on it. If you're gonna use colors, remember from marketing, your marketing class, colors mean something. So if you're gonna use colors, try to use 1 or 2 colors, no more than that, because you don't want it to look like a clown. It needs to look formal. And one of the best colors to use, do you remember that one? Blue, because it gives you more professional look. But keeping it black, that's fine. That's perfect to keep just the use of black. But you could use blue. Try to avoid, you shouldn't use colors like red, because remember that the impression on it, it could be wrong. So it's not for your resume. Okay? Understood? 1 page and with the sections on it. And for you, you have to showcase the first section after your summary and objective should be education. Education should be on it. I'm showing a big one here. This is not just for a new graduate. Can you take a look at this one? This person, Andrea Hills, she has some experience. Take a look at it. She has been employed, employment history, public relations intern, president-elect, firm direct and account executive, copy editor, English department headmaster, English teacher, secretary. She has a lot. She has a big resume and she is including only 1 page. So if people with a lot of experience can do it in one page, can you do it in one page? Of course, yes. I'm answering for you. Take a look at the educational background. You need to show first, it's related to date in the way that the most present, the current one, the current date, and then the old ones in that way. Whatever you have in 2021 and then so on. I have seen resumes and curriculum vitae where people tend to include elementary school. Okay, this is a big no. You shouldn't put your elementary school on your resume. It's a no. Your middle school.
I did put it.
That's a no. That's awesome. That's great. Who was that, Connie? Or
That was me, Carmen.
oh, that was Carmen. That's good, Carmen. If you submitted that way, thank you very much. And thank you for sharing it, because
I put high school.
making mistakes, that's what makes us understand and grow. And it gives us the experience, okay? Elementary and middle school, no. Why? Because you are already in a university. So to go into university, you are supposed to have the certificate from your elementary school and from your middle school and also from your high school. Now, Connie mentioned that she included her high school. Is it relevant? This depends. I'm going to tell you why. This depends. If you do have a degree, a technical degree that you use, for example, maybe you study a technical degree in informatics, and you are really good with software, that you are using software, that you're going to put software on your skills section over here, and not just the software that you learn in university, but more softwares. If you do, for example, if you do some maintenance to
I did maintenance.
to some equipment, yes, included. So if that's the case, like for Connie, yes, that's perfect. You included and you mentioned your degree. Other than that, most of you are not in the same way as Connie. So if you don't hold that degree, that you have practice on this, it's better not to include your high school degree. So most of you, not for everyone, but most of you should only mention your university degree, your college degree. Only this one. Understood?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
I have another question.
Yes, go ahead.
In the abilities or skills, is it okay to put like the basic computer skills, like
Yes.
Word, Excel, and PowerPoint?
Yes, of course. And how do
Okay.
we mention those? It's fine if you group them like Microsoft Office, and then you mention like the ones that you are good on them, like Word, PowerPoint, Excel. You guys are really good in Excel. You know a lot about using the solver option, which is really nice, and some other options on it. If you guys know how to use the publisher, write it down, because you need to show what you do. And then you can mention the other softwares, like what I was saying. All of you should be able to write AutoCAD, SolidWorks. The one that you're studying with Professor Ruggiero right now for automatization, which one is it?
Flexim.
Flexim. Make sure to write them correctly. Like AutoCAD is written this way, with CAD in capital letters. And flexing, I believe it is written like this because you need to show that you already know how to write them. If you know the software, you're supposed to know how to write them. So yes, so that's about software. And like I said, some of you know a little more about different type of software. Like here, for example, it's saying Adobe Photoshop, Adobe InDesign, Illustrator. Like I was saying to Carmen, Microsoft Office, and then mention which ones do you know. And take a look at this. These are the hard skills. And then leadership, multitasking, meeting, management and organization, public speaking, those are the soft skills. So it's a combination of them, but try to list them separately, like in here. The hard skills are in together, and then it comes the soft ones. Copy editing. You all know how to copy and paste, but hopefully you learn how to edit. I'm just saying. Yes. And like I said over here, languages. Make sure that you write about this. You know about Spanish and English. And I don't know about anyone here that knows about other language. Do we have one of you that knows another language? Like French, Italian, Portuguese, German? I don't know. If you have another language, then write it down there. And of course, references, but these references are different than the ones from a homework. Estas son referencias laborales. And then you're going to say like, oh, but I don't have experience. Okay, you can still use one of your professors from the university, which is fine. Professors are okay. But if you have job experience, like Benjamin, you could include even your family members because, well, that would be your dad. Because you've been working for a lot of years with your dad and into the music industry. And then you could include for the construction company that you were working last semester, then you could include that reference also. It's perfectly fine and okay. Why do you need to include references? Because it shows that there is another people that can talk about you, that can back you up, that they can say that what you are mentioning in your resume is truth. Yes? All right.
Yes.
Good. I'm showing here a different one, like I was telling you at the beginning, to include the work experience at the beginning. It's only for those type of resumes. This is a resume type for an engineer with a career. Remember again the difference with career and majoring in something. You are studying. Therefore, you are majoring in industrial engineer. Once you're out as a professional and start working, you start building a career. So this is why it's different in English. Okay. So this type of resume, it's for people with already a lot of experience. Take a look at this. He's been a manufacturing engineer. This is Bill Lowy. Since 2017 until 2020. And then he was working from 2015 to 2017 as a project manager. And from 2014 to 2015, he worked as a mechanical consultant. So he does have experience. So it's easier for the job searching to show it first. And whenever you are writing about experience, bullet points that describe some of what you were doing there, that's perfect. But this is a different format, different from yours. Because you don't have career experience, period. Punto. Yes, like I was saying, you guys don't have career experience. You are graduating, you're finishing your major, but you don't have career experience. You're finishing your degree in industrial engineering. But this is a different type of resume. Okay, on yours, you should put your education at the beginning. It's advisable to include it at the beginning. Oh, and for this, I'm going, now we're gonna keep talking about the interview, not just the resume, but we're gonna take about 4 minutes and you're gonna watch this video. Yes, let me just put it, the escape right here. Yes, it's a video in Spanish and I'm strongly recommending it just because I want you to see something funny. This is an interview. I'm gonna give you the link. Let me just give you the link from over here. I'm gonna write the link on the chat. Let's see, chat section. There, link. So it's from Enchufe TV, Enchufe TV. So go on it. It takes about 4 minutes. I'm gonna pause the video and I'll see you in 4 minutes. I want you to see, pay attention, and then we'll discuss what you see on that interview. Okay? Okay, good. So after watching this video, let me just tell you, this is just fiction. In reality, you're not going to encounter something like this, like they're going to harm you and they're going to ask you to do things that are against your integrity. But I wanted you to have a feeling of something extreme. Could you see the things that were not supposed to happen, even though you don't have experience on it, but things that you weren't expecting on it? Can you mention something that you were surprised to see? Maria,
Think fast.
fast. Yeah, that was one of them. Think fast. Piensa rápido. But then throwing things like that at someone, you know that that's already against the law. You cannot do that. And of course, not on an interview. No. But I wanted you to see something funny, like I'm saying. Something else that you think it was funny or that you saw on that interview?
The math operation.
The math operation. That was crazy, right? Wow. Yeah.
Thinking about the picture. It was
Oh.
funny too.
The picture question about here's the thing. It's a parody. This video is a parody that's something happening on the interviews, because interviews are nerve-wracking. It makes you feel a lot of nervousness. Se pone muy nervioso. Then there's also something that is truth, the way that you dress. And at the beginning of the video, the lady asked the person that was wearing very short skirts to leave. Go ahead, go away. Or if you're wearing a lot of makeup, if you're not wearing formally, if you're not dressing in a formal way, they're just gonna tell you goodbye. And sometimes during the interview, they're gonna give you tests, psychological tests. And some tests include drawings, not like the one that they were showing there, of course. That's not the example that will happen, but they're going to give you some drawings and you have to describe what you think that it is on the drawing. Yeah, it was funny. Do you want to participate? Another one of you? No? Okay, at least you had a nice time, okay? So here's the thing, what's a job interview? In reality speaking, what's a job interview? A selection process used by organizations to help determine whether a job candidate has the necessary knowledge, skills, abilities that are required for the job position. It may also be used to see if there is a good fit between the applicant and organization from a standpoint of culture and values. It also helps. So it's face to face most of the time, but sometimes it could be through a video conference or through the phone. In this lesson, so we're going to review what is proper for an organization and for the candidate. And talking about that, reviewing that, we're going to review the questions. So I basically put the types of interviews into the type of
Professor,
questions. Yes. Hello, Benjamin.
accept Connie. Accept Connie to enter.
Can I accept Connie? Okay, Connie's coming. Thank you. It's can you accept Connie? She's on the waiting room, but it's good. Even though I'm making that parenthesis, even though there was a grammar mistake, that's correct because I could understand you. So as long as you speak and you try to communicate in any way, that's correct, Benjamin. So that's very fine. So she's trying to get in and I already clicked on accepting. So here's the thing, guys. There will be the job interviews and there's also the so-called internship interview. Most of the time, internships interviews, even though they are for jobs, they are a little simpler because as an internship, o sea, como un interno o practicante, it's different. It's a little more relaxed, and also it's a position that may be paid or may not be paid because an internship is the purpose for an internship is mainly to get experience and not as you are not as the professional one yet, so you are learning still in the process of learning, and that's why most of the companies they won't offer you payment for that position. So you need to understand that you are not going to get an allowance, maybe because some companies have some programs like they give you something like scholarship, como una beca, but that's it. They don't give you a proper. They won't give you a proper paycheck. So, and they are not supposed to give you a paycheck. Okay, so you need to understand that you're not going to start earning money until you finish your internship, when you are already under a contract as an engineer, because that's different. So you are going to find specific questions, and it's to see if you do have the specific skills and if you are able to perform the tasks that the company is looking for. Take a look at the example here. For example, if you are interviewing for a human resources internship that will give you access to sensitive employee data, be prepared to share an example of when you've dealt with confidential information and explain specific experience you've had working in databases. For technical questions, even if you haven't used a company-specific system, describe similar systems you've used and your ability to learn quickly with actual examples of these skills in action. Here's the thing and the difference with this type of interviews. You need to do research about the company that you're being interviewed, and you need to understand the position also. And your resume, if it is possible, you should keep your resume as a copy, a different copy for every company and for every position. You could have a general copy if you don't know the companies and if you're just sending them just away to hundreds and hundreds of companies around the world, and of course in the region. But there is also this thing that it's better. You need to adjust your resume and you need to adjust yourself to the interview in terms of the position that you're applying. Remember, above all, that be yourself. Whenever you go into the interview, you need to always speak the truth, be yourself, take a deep breath, and know that you're going to do great. But it is about preparing for it. Some questions. I've included some questions here. I have this is just for a collection that I gathered some time ago. I have a collection of 40 questions that I'm giving it to you, and that's your homework now. You need to answer those questions. You're going to prepare to start doing your interviews. And this will be very, very good because you're going to get to know yourself in terms of professionally speaking. And also is going to make you be prepared to answer to the question. Take a look at, I'm just only including the 21st questions here. For example, tell me about yourself. This is the first question. It doesn't matter if it is in Spanish or English, you're going to have this question. They're not going to ask you the 40 questions that I'm going to suggest to you, because usually, normally, a job interview, and especially for internships, it will take about 20 minutes to an hour, but it's normally like 20 minutes, no more than that. So they cannot ask you 40 questions. They're going to ask you like 5 questions during the interview. And so you need to be ready for those. And the first one, always, that's for sure. Tell me about yourself. Platícame de ti. Dime sobre ti. Háblame de ti. ¿Quién eres? Tell me about yourself. And these questions, you should be able to tell like the summary of your resume. Like the summary of your resume. Like in about 30 seconds to 1 minute, you should be ready to say who you are as a person and as a professional. That's why you need to be prepared. Just imagine going to an interview without knowing any of the answers to these questions. And then the interviewer asks you, tell me about yourself. And then you start like, huh? I am Dinora Monroy. I am from Compass. And I study industrial engineering. So that's the worst answer that you can give. So you hesitated to answer. You don't know what to answer. You are only mentioning where you are from and what you're studying. But of course, if the person that is interviewing you has already your resume on its hand, they don't need to know again and again that you are studying industrial engineering. You should mention something else, that yes, you are an industrial engineer, but you are particularly interested in quality or in logistics, and you have experience with the running of a production cell, and you are interested also in safety, and that you are a very good teamwork, and through your whole time studying, you have experienced that, working with so many different teams, and you have experienced conflicts, but you have been able to solve them. So you need to make sure that you know yourself. That's why I'm giving you this set of questions, and you're going to take your time to answer them, and not just answer in one line, just saying your name. That's not the purpose. Si solamente van a contestar las preguntas porque es una tarea, mejor no hagan la tarea. Because this homework is about your future. It's about preparing you for your future. It's not just for this. Yeah, you're going to practice English, and that's fine with me. But the whole idea to include this section in the class is for you to, yes, to practice your speaking, your listening, speaking, and understanding of it, but to know about this topic and to be able to defend yourself when you go for an interview, which is happening pretty soon, very soon. Okay? Take a look at the question number 2. What are your strengths and weaknesses? This one, good. You have another class where you already work on your strengths and weaknesses, debilidades y fortalezas. You already know them. Put them into an answer here. That's great. Man, I'm really excited that this time it's also me that the one who is teaching those courses, because I already know that you are doing those exercises in both classes, and it's going to help us a lot. That's awesome. I'm really excited. Take a look at question number 3. Give me an example or a situation in which, let's see, part B. You were in a situation in which you may have had difficulty with a supervisor, coworker, or peer. A peer is a friend or a partner. So this is a trick question, which means it's a question that they want to see if you went into a conflict and how you solved it. ¿Cómo lo resolvió? That's why it's a trick question. The answer should tell us about that. And of course, that's a lot of it. Let's see about internship related questions. Let's see the question number 8. What makes you unique from other candidates? You need to think about it. What makes you unique? I don't know. Or I probably know.
That nobody's like me.
That's great, Carmen, but no.
Unique.
But that doesn't make sense in terms of professionally speaking. You gave a good answer in terms of the class, but not a good answer for the job interview. But thank you for participating. I appreciate it. You need to showcase your differences, and here is where you show them. What makes you unique from other candidates? Probably you are on an internship about, let's just say that it is for an internship in production, producción. And then what makes you unique to take that? Then it's the time that you can show your experience. Okay, but you don't have experience. Yes, you do. You know how to organize a production, and that makes you different. Because yes, in school projects, but also maybe for you, Carmen, in the jobs that you have been having, you have worked in a papelería and in una tiendita and so on, right? So you do have knowledge about how to,
Yes.
you do have knowledge about how to manage the materials, and not only in a school project, but also outside school. So you need to showcase that. You need to show that you do have the interrelation skills. You need to tell them that, yes, you are a graduate from Universidad de la Sierra, but you also have a knowledge and experience. And I don't know, I'm just inventing right now, okay, in ergonomics. Because you participated in a project,
Okay.
blah, blah. You need to show something that you have done different, including, I mean, at least right now, it makes you unique that you have a higher level in English. That makes you unique from your classmates. And then you're gonna say like, oh yeah, but that's because I lived in the other country. Yeah, well, it's not against anyone and it's not your fault. It happened to be your life. And so that's part of you, of your uniqueness. So yes, that you do have a high level of English, that you are an industrial engineer, that you have knowledge about flexing, that you have experience with team working, that you have experienced conflicts in your jobs and you have solved them. So that makes you different. Also, if I recall, you were also a sport player, right? You were a volleyball player, were you? Am I saying it correct? Or football, soccer? Which sport did you used to play?
Well, I play volleyball, soccer, softball.
Okay, so that's also no, that's also good. And if you could include it somehow in your resume, that's good. Why? Because when you are talking about the skill of teamwork, sports are a very good example on how to show that you know how to work in teams, not just in a project for professionally speaking, but also in sports. And those of us who have experienced that, we know that it's difficult. It's hard to deal with people in sports because a lot of people don't have the emotional intelligence, and they do get mad, angry, and they yell at you, and so you need to manage a lot of situations. So that's a great experience. It makes you unique also. Everything adds up. Todo suma. Okay. Some other thing. Oh, the skill that you have in terms of singing, that's also great. You can also mention it. And well, it depends on the job, but some of the interviews might include about your social
It's like
skills or
data.
cultural skills. Yes, and you should have to, you should mention dates also, las fechas, of course. Question number 15. Do you have anyone, do you know anyone at our organization? And I'm gonna keep the example with Carmen, because if you remember, we visited last year, one of the companies that we visited, it was because of Carmen's connection. So I'm guessing if she wanted to use that connection for an internship, she could use it. And during the interview, they can ask you this one, and you can say it's okay and it's perfect if it is truth. To say, yes, I do know this person. You mentioned the name. He is into that department, and you can say the relationship and why you know that person. And that's actually a great reference. Then the person who is interviewing you can start talking with your connection and mention that. They can recommend you right away. You see? So this is our only examples. I already told you that it is going to be 40 questions. 3 questions I'm mentioning here. You need to practice the traditional questions, the one that I'm referring here. But in those 40 questions, there are a few trick questions. And the trick questions, they sound like truco, yes. But yeah, they have something behind. The interviewers, they want to know, how do you resolve different situations? For example, I have this set of questions. Are you the type who checks email during your vacation? Is that a question for an interview? Yes. It's a trick question. Why? Because if you answer no, you may show that you are a person who is like, okay, no. I don't get connected with anyone. Even if it is an emergency, I don't check it. But if you say yes, you need to be careful about the yes, because you need to explain. You need to show that you can separate your personal life from your work life, but it's still, you have to keep connected. So you could say during the vacations, yeah, like once in a while, like every 2 days, or I will check in the mornings just to make sure that there's nothing urgent, and then I will go and enjoy my vacation. That's a perfect answer. Take a look at the second one. Is this position a similar role to any other jobs you are considering? This is a trick question to see if you are applying at the same time to other companies. So you need to be very careful about what your answer is going to be. What's your biggest weakness? They want to know if you know yourself, but in terms of that, You should know your weaknesses, but you should know what is more important is that you should know how to overcome your weakness. For example, you can say that your weakness is that you speak a lot. I don't know, maybe that's your weakness. But then you can say, oh, but I tend to speak too much, but I overcome that with being conscious that I do that. So I'm also a good listener and I am a good learner. So I do speak a lot, but because I am a good learner, I make a lot of questions and I apply the information that I gather from. Oh, okay. So this person knows what she's speaking. The next question, if you could work for any company, where will you work? Trick question. ¿Por qué te preguntan que en otra compañía si te están entrevistando en esa? To see if you really want to work at that company that you're being interviewed. So you need to be very careful about your answer. Why do you want to work here? Just because? Or a very bad answer will be, because I have to do the internship. It's a requirement for my school. That's not a good answer because you need to show commitment, el compromiso que tienes hacia la empresa, even though they haven't hired you yet. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Trick question. Because if you tell them that you're going to be in another company, well, they don't want you. If you tell them that you are going to be self-employed in 5 years, that's okay. Because having goals in life, it's good for every person and the companies knows it. And they want to invest in you and they want to keep you for more than 5 years. Or another good answer will be like being a manager or having a managing position in this company. Who knows? You may end up having it. You can also include having another degree, like a master's degree in 5 years from now. And you could also talk about your personal life, but don't relate all of the answer to your personal life because they want to know what you're going to be doing professionally speaking. But they want to see the balance in your life. This is why it's really good that you're actually working on your life plan, your personal and professional life plan. That's awesome, right? What do you think your references will say about you? If I call your reference, what will they tell me about you? And then you can answer, oh, that I'm a responsible person, that I am very reliable, that I am a committed person, that I finish every task that I'm asked, that I am proactive, and so on. Really good. Which part of the job description sounds most challenging and why? They want to know if you did investigate it about their company. Before you go to the interview, you need to do research about them. Tell me about your dream job. And if you answer about your dream job being a singer, that's not related to being an industrial engineering. So you might go away and look for your dream in a different company, different industry. Everyone has one exaggeration on their job application. What's yours? How do you answer to this question? Well, you need to say that in your resume, your cover letter, in your answers, you are only saying the truth and you are confident that what you're saying can help you get the job, something like that. Right? Yeah, hopefully you're understanding that. Any questions right now? That's it for speaking of resumes, speaking of job interviews, and speaking of questions and answers. And like I was mentioning before, you're gonna have two different homeworks right now, which is the second draft, but actually draft to final version of your resume. I'm going to call it like that instead of calling it final version, draft to final version, because everything could be better with time. So you're going to be updating your resume all of the semester and the rest of your life, actually. And the second task is about answering the questions that I mentioned. So it is 40 questions. Let me show you. It's a Word document. So all windows, I'm not seeing it. It's here. It is, I already told you about the essential 5, the internship related, and there is academic or professional interest and situational ones. Like I said before, it's a collection of questions that I gathered from a long time ago. It's from Parcels Nathan. And these are the most common interview questions. You're gonna take your time to answer them and submit your answers. Any questions?
Not yet.
All right,
Maybe
then.
through the weekend.
Yes, to the week. Yes, you're gonna have questions because the answers to those questions on the interview, it takes time, but it also, to understand the question, to understand what the question is saying, you need to ask, and you can ask me, and I'll be available to answer back to you. All right. Then with that said, thank you very much for coming. For those of you who were not participating, I hope that you pay attention to it and that you can learn a little more about interviews, especially about job interviews and the resume, the importance of the resume. And with that said, with further ado, let's just dismiss the class. Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.